a major focus of your administration has been shifting the...
Y'all know what an H-1B visa is? So an H-1B visa is basically an authorization from the company to bring in somebody that is not here from the United States of America to work here in the United States of America. So if you work in information technology at any university, at any bank, at any tech company, if you work in a hospital, it is a strong possibility that you have and or worked with somebody that has an H-1B visa. And it usually costs about $1,000 for them to get somebody over here. Now, a lot of times they often, pay them a lower wage, significantly lower. And so the company's justification for it is to say, well, we need talent. We need the right people to be able to develop the right things and the technologies and work in the hospitals in order for us to be solvent. That is the logic behind it. And what it does is it also destroys the American economy, in my opinion. Because you have people here on work visas. And I'm not saying that people can't and shouldn't be here, especially if you are the best and the brightest and the most talented. But what it does is it takes away from American jobs. So you see all of these people and they on planes or whatever. I actually seen some footage of people not wanting to get off the plane, and they had already got on the plane to go to India, and they got off the plane for fear that they wouldn't be able to get back here in the United States of America. I'll find that for you.
Conversation and shifting the policy dynamics around the issue of immigration, closing the border, preventing illegal immigration, but also, as is the case with the executive order in front of you, opening new pathways for truly extraordinary people to come contribute to America instead of taking away from it. So this executive order is entitled the Gold Card. It will set up a new pathway, a new visa pathway for foreigners of extraordinary ability who are committed to supporting the United States for a payment of $1 million to the U.S. Treasury, or if a corporation is sponsoring them, $2 million by that corporation, and that will give them access to expedited visa treatment as part of this new Gold Card program.
And one of the biggest problems we have is that people, they go to the best schools and they do great and they get great marks, and then they're thrown out of the country. You're not allowed to stay. This way, a corporation will be able, sort of like a signing bonus in baseball or football, a corporation will be able to get them to stay in the country, and I think it's going to be tremendously successful. Howard, would you say a few words about it, please?
Sure.
Well, we gonna get there. So, let's hear what Howard has to say.
So historically, the employment-based green card program let in 281,000 people a year.
What up,
and
David?
Those people, on average, earned $66,000 a year on average, and they were 5 times more likely to go on assistance programs of the government. So we were taking in the bottom quartile, below the average American. It was illogical. The only country in the world that was taking in the bottom quartile. So what we are doing now is we are going to stop doing that. We're going to only take extraordinary people at the very top. Instead of people trying to take the jobs from Americans, they're going to create businesses and create jobs for Americans, and this program will raise more than $100 billion for the Treasury of the United States of America.
Which we'll use for cutting taxes and paying down debt.
So this is the general idea. All right, I'm gonna break it down from a C student's perspective. This is what's happening. You see a lot of people coming here from other countries, and they are here on work visas. A lot of times they are getting sponsored by a company. That sponsorship has been fairly cheap up till now, and the tech companies have been advocated for it. As a matter of fact, one of the things that the Trump administration caught a lot of flack for was the fact that he was not addressing people coming over here on work visas, while at the same time saying that Americans need jobs. We are investing in America and American infrastructure. And why are we allowing for them to come over here and do these jobs instead of spending more time nurturing American workers to do the same jobs? Right? And I believe that Elon Musk was one of the people that was like, well, we still need the visa program, so on and so forth. So what Trump did is he said, listen, if these companies love these workers so much, and I'm assuming that this is a conversation that he had with all of the tech bosses over dinner and stuff because he'd been courting them a lot. And he said, listen, well, if these companies love these workers so much, then they're going to have to pay $100,000 a year per worker in order to get them here. And that's the fee, not including the salary that they would have to pay them on top of the fee to have them here in the United States of America. So what you see happening was at this announcement, which was not expected, this is an Emirates flight, which was delayed by 3 hours because it was going to India. And the Indian people that had boarded this flight here in the United States of America from San Francisco and had already boarded, they getting the heck off the flight.
That's the captain speaking. Due to the current circumstances, obviously, that are unprecedented for us here at Emirates, we are aware that a number of passengers do not wish to travel with us, and that's perfectly fine. All we ask is that if you wish to offload yourself, you do so.
So a lot of the Indian people on these flights were deplaning because they did not know if they would be able to get back here in the United States of America. Let me say that again. The Indian people that were on this flight, they had already boarded the plane, and they were deplaning because they were not sure if they would be able to get back on the flight. And the flight was delayed over 3 hours because of it. And that should tell you the value. I don't really think we know or really understand exactly how valuable it is to hit the lottery and basically be born here inside of the United States of America. If you did, you would truly take advantage of it. If you did, you would really put your all into what you do on a regular basis. We do not really understand how valuable it is to be born on American soil, and we take it for granted every day. I just can't, I don't understand why people take that for granted every day. The greatest blessing is to be born right here in the United States of America. I don't care what city you were born in. You have the opportunity. No, let me add something in there. The greatest blessing ever, one of the greatest blessings ever, because, being saved, sanctified, and all of that stuff, we know that. So that goes without a doubt. But one of the greatest blessings ever is to be born in the United States of America. And this time, you wasn't even born during slavery time. You wasn't born during the Indian time. You wasn't born none of that. You are born right here. And that's why it's so difficult for me to make sense of people complaining about what their lot is in life. And it's like, listen, I know he got it. I know they were born in generational wealth, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Same things. But bro, you got the opportunity to get it. You literally have the opportunity to get it in the technology era, and it ain't no racism that is affecting you that will stop you from being able to do the thing that you want to do. And you go out there and you kill people, you have self-inflicted wounds, you rob, you scam, you go to jail, get out, get another opportunity. Go to jail, get out, get another opportunity. You never change your life. You have multiple baby mamas. You finance the whole earth. And then you can't pay it back, get your house taken, repossess, all of this stuff. Bruh. You got the opportunity of a lifetime and you're complaining? People were clamoring, killing themselves to come over here in migrant caravans, wishing that they can come up here. And you are sitting there wasting time talking about what you don't have instead of playing the hand that you was dealt and winning. No World War I or II time, facts. No Vietnam time, facts. no slavery time, facts. You are literally in the most prosperous country in the world, and you're sitting there whining and complaining while at the same time doing what you want to do and still doing dumb stuff every day. Jesus Christ. Bro, you can go broke here, get it back, file for bankruptcy, get it back, have the learned lesson, and still have the time of your life and run it up. It's weird to me, bro.
We think it's going to be very successful. Essentially, we're having people come in, people that in many cases, I guess, are very successful or whatever, and they're coming in, they're going to spend a lot of money to come in. They're going to pay as opposed to walking over the borders, and they may come from jails, prisons, and everything else. These people don't. They're very productive people, and they're going to pay $1 million. The corporation's going to pay $2 million, and it's going to raise billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, which is going to go.
And then you got the dude that was at the very beginning of the show that was like, I don't like it. I want to. For some of y'all might not have been here in the beginning of the show. Let me remind y'all of what happened in the beginning of the show really quickly. Just real quick, just a quick reminder.
I no longer want to be alive. This is not a ploy. This is not a hook. This is not anything for entertainment purposes. I do not want to be on this planet anymore. I'm tired. Gas is high. We could barely afford groceries. We could barely afford rent. Why do I need to make 3 times the rent when there is no job out there paying me 3 times the rent? And
So, Bonnet Bay is on here complaining. I don't look at it that way. I look at it a little bit differently.
Reduce taxes, pay off debt, and other good things. So I think it's going to be very successful.
Are the big techs on board with this, Mr. President?
What?
The big techs, are the big techs on board with this decision? You just
What's
bought them
going
here
to?
for
Well,
dinner?
I wish you'd speak more clearly. I really do. Give it to me again.
Are the big techs, the CEOs, on board with this decision?
Big
Did you
techs?
talk
Big
big
tech-
techs?
tech
Techs. Did you talk to
Big
them
tech
about
companies.
this?
Yeah, big tech. Yeah, it's big tech. It's every company. It's
Yeah.
big tech. It's big tech. It's big everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
the CEOs
It's a
will be
company.
here
Let me go over to CNBC and their evaluation of this whole situation, and let's look at it from a financial perspective, and then we're going to go over to the millionaires in New York.
Meantime, we're watching shares of big tech this morning. Here's what's going on. Major companies rushing
And this
now.
Is this today? I think this might be today.
Responded after President Trump announced plans late last week to impose a $100,000 fee on H-1B visas. These are used by corporations to bring highly skilled workers into the U.S. Some tech companies and banks scrambling over the weekend as a result of it. They're warning employees not to leave the United States or quickly return from overseas. Nobody seems to know what would happen to them. A White House official clarifying over the weekend that a one-time fee would only now apply to new H-1B applicants. That didn't stop all of the emails, not renewals or current visa holders, and won't apply to those granted visas back in 2025. Now, Amazon employs the most H-1B holders, more than 14,000. That's as of June.
That's a lot of workers. Let me tell you something. That's a lot of workers. 14,000 workers Amazon is employing.
And it's creating a lot of consternation about whether this is the right policy. There's some
Toy, you're right. You said also might help Black and brown communities to start choosing careers in tech. They should have been doing that anyway. I've been telling people for the longest, stop going with underwater basket weaving degrees.
coming out saying this is great. If you're a big tech company, this is not a bad outcome because you can afford to spend the $100,000. If you're a small startup or you're running a science lab and you don't have that kind of money, but you really want to be able to attract some of the smartest people from around the world, it's a whole lot more of a complicated scenario.
Is this a situation where they're trying to add additional pressure on India for the trade negotiations, or is this a situation where they're saying, look, you are keeping down market rates for what you would pay people because you're bringing people from overseas versus what you would pay wages here?
The unintended consequences could be huge, but at face value, Trump wants companies to hire American workers. And I don't know what the number of, I don't know if apparently there's, in his view or the administration's view, the system is being gamed. And it's not just highly skilled workers that are being hired. He thinks that they're trying to get, trying to pay much lower wages to foreign workers. And it's, it's sort of more of that overall problem. Also, sometimes I wonder why certain people wouldn't like this, because it is a revenue generator. It's going to cost companies money. It's $100,000. The companies pay it. The administration says it could be billions of dollars. It's another way of, very successful tech companies. A lot of people would certainly like to tax the profits of tech companies. This is a way of getting at some of it, and maybe
increasing wages
in a simplistic way. Having more Americans being hired.
It's the equivalent of a tariff being put on the labor
market. Exactly. And trying, once again, to do I don't know if it works. I don't know how much the system is gamed. I'd like to know that. I'd like to know how much tech companies use to try to hold down labor costs with not highly skilled workers.
I just think there's two thoughts. We've all talked about wanting to, I think, staple a green card to a diploma. So folks who come to this country, who learn in this country, I would like to see them have the opportunity, if they could, to work here. Two is, the truth is, and you go back and look at Google. Google's the prime example of, there's a startup. It's a big company today, but it was a startup at one point. It's not clear you would have been able to have said startup in the United States.
Listen, bro. Listen. Hire American workers. Hire American workers. I'm not going to sit here and defend the big tech companies. Then we need to start sponsoring. They need to be on college campuses. They need to be giving scholarships to people. They need to be working within certain communities. They need to be investing in promoting for people to take up certain curriculums. They need to be inside of the high schools. They need to be doing their job on trying to find the right workers the same way that they nurture and they mature certain markets as outside of the United States of America. Listen, I am a capitalist, but at the same time, I believe that we got to play the game fair. And I also believe that we need to support Americans and American workers. And when I see people coming over here, and don't get me wrong, I'm cool with H-1B visas, but you just going to have to be that nickel. You're going to have to be him. You're going to have to be him. It just is what it is. You got to be him. No handouts. You got to be him. I remember second time around when they recruited me and it was like, yo, Anton, we want you to come back to corporate America, but we want you to work for this company, whatever. And I said a number and the number was outrageous. Y'all seen my checks. Y'all seen my stubs inside of the page. For those of you OG Patreon members, I used to be showing y'all my check stubs, what I made in a quarter, the first quarter and all of that stuff. I showed y'all that and y'all was like, I want to see it, and I showed it to you. And so you got to see it for yourself. You got to see it for yourself. And I said a crazy number. And at first they was like, And we went back and forth, and I said, listen, bro, this is what it is. This is what we rocking with. Either take it or leave it because I don't really need it. And they paid it. And here's the key, because a lot of people don't understand what really happens inside of corporate America is that they have executive recruiters, right? And so the executive recruiter actually charged a fee on top of what I paid or what they had to pay me. And so they had to take a risk. And so eventually they said that the risk was worth it. They got their money. They definitely got their money's worth out of me.